Hello, and welcome back to Legacy the podcast. Or if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. I am super excited for today's conversation because this is something that has been coming up a lot in my private containers and what I've been working on a lot with my private clients. And this work in particular, and what we're going to be talking about today, when I really understood this and really implemented this into my business, completely changed everything for me and changed everything for my level of fulfillment in business, how much money I was making, how many clients I was attracting, and more importantly, the quality of the clients that I was attracting. So that is the basis of today's conversation, how to attract high paying, high quality clients, the types of clients that you genuinely love to support, who honor your boundaries, who are willing and happy to pay your prices, who make your work feel really light and easy and enjoyable and fun and fulfilling and all the things. And I think where a lot of people get tripped up in this is number one, the most basic or surface level reason why people don't attract high quality clients is not knowing who that high quality client is and not being really clear on their ideal client. So that's the very first thing that you always want to address and get really clear on, is having the awareness and the specificity in the type of client that you want to attract. However, there are still plenty of people who are so clear on who that person is. They have their perfect ideal client avatar mapped out. They know every single detail about them. They know all of their values, all of their how they lead themselves. Like, they have all of the finer details, and even creating content, maybe their content is on point, their selling is on point, their messaging is on point, and still they don't seem to be attracting those types of clients despite how clear they are on who that person is. And the reason for this is you could have the perfect soulmate client in mind and know exactly who they are, but if you yourself are not a match for that person, it's going to be really hard for you to consistently attract that level of client. So what I want to do in this episode is break down the 3 different areas that I always look at anytime I am elevating the quality of the client that I'm wanting to attract in my business. And this, without fail, works every single time. And this is the work that most people are missing, because as I said, you could know who this person is and you can do your best in zoning in your messaging and showing up online to speak to that person. But if you yourself are not a match for that client, it's just not going to be communicated through your leadership on the scenes and off the scenes, and energetically, you are not going to be able to consistently, that's the key word, consistently bring in high quality clients, and more importantly, actually have them stay. So the very first place that we want to look, assuming that you are already clear on your ideal client, right? If you are not already clear on your ideal client, that would then be the first place to go, and getting clear on who this person is, what are their problems, what are their desires, how do they lead themselves, what are their values, all of those things, right? Very basic, fundamental ideal client, data collection and clarity and specificity and all the things. Now, assuming that you already have this down and you are not attracting those types of clients, the first place we want to look is your own projections and your own belief systems around being able to attract these types of clients. Because consciously, if you again have this ideal client in mind and you're still not attracting these people, 90% of the time, there's going to be some belief systems in place or projections at play that are stopping you from showing up in a way that is going to attract that type of client. So to give you some examples of what this might look like, consciously you might think that you want and you believe that you want and can have these types of clients, but unconsciously you potentially don't believe that maybe there's not enough of those clients out there, for you to be fully booked with that type of client. And so unconsciously, you start to water down your message to start to speak to as many people as possible, because there's an underlying fear that there's not enough people out there who fit this ideal client profile for you to be fully booked. Another example might be that you are projecting your own financial situation or your own beliefs around money onto your audience. So what that might look like is, say, for example, you right now are not in a great position financially and you're not spending a lot of money, and maybe the price that you are charging for your services, you aren't right now able to invest into your own personal development or your own business or whatever it might be. Or maybe you're really thinking about and consumed in the fact that we are potentially heading into a recession and people aren't spending money right now and money is really tight and there's a cost of living crisis and all of these things. And so because of that, you're now projecting that your audience can't afford to invest in your services. And then this might manifest as you dropping your prices, dropping your standards, dropping the standard of client that you want to attract into your spaces. You're watering down your message. Like, you are not showing up in full conviction in the fact that you're confident in your work, you're confident in your prices, and you're confident that you're able to call in people who are willing to spend that amount of money. And this is something that I struggled with a lot when I was in the beauty industry and I was still doing lashes, where I knew that it was time to put my prices up. I knew that my quality of work was worth way more than what I was charging at the time, but I felt so much resistance to putting my prices up because at the time I was not able, or more so willing, I wasn't willing to spend what I wanted to charge on lashes. And what I had to remember in that was I was not my ideal client. I wasn't trying to market to people who were in the same situation as me or the same type of person as me. I was trying to market specifically to people who 110% valued quality over the price, who were in a position financially to always put quality of work, quality of service above the price, right? And again, because at the time I wasn't able or willing to spend that amount of money, I was then projecting that nobody else would be willing or able to spend that amount of money. So when we are trying to attract higher quality, high paying clients, we always need to be looking at our own projections and our own internal belief systems, because again, you could have the perfect ideal client in mind and know exactly the type of client that you want to attract, but if your belief systems aren't in line with knowing and believing that you're able to have that and that those clients exist and that there's enough of them out there and that they're willing to pay your prices, you are going to struggle to attract that type of client, because your unconscious belief systems are going to constantly come out and override the decisions that you're making in your business, how you are leading yourself in your business, how you're selling, how you're creating content, how you're showing up online, and it's going to repel that type of client. So that is step one, right? Always checking in. What are your current belief systems around being able to attract high quality, high paying clients? And what are you currently projecting onto your audience that is potentially repelling that type of client? The second place that we want to look is your behavior and leadership as a client and consumer. And this part can be really challenging to look at, and 99% of people will not go here with themselves. But this is the one thing, all three of these things are super important, but this is one of the things that a lot of people will just absolutely refuse to take responsibility for. And I wholeheartedly believe, and I have so much evidence to support this, that you will attract who you are, not what you want. You will attract what you are, not what you want. And if you are wanting to attract high quality, high paying clients and you are not that yourself, it's going to be really challenging for you to attract that type of person. And not even just from an energetic lens and a manifestation lens, but from a very logical lens, in the sense that when it comes to your communication and the way that you show up online, and the way that you speak to your ideal client and the way that you write your sales copy and the standards that you hold and all the things, if you don't know what it is like to be that type of person, you're not going to know how to lead that type of person. Your leadership is not going to be a match for the level of leadership that you are expecting in your clients. So that is exactly what we want to be checking in with, right? Where am I expecting my clients and my audience to uphold standards that I do not uphold myself? And there's so many different areas that we can look at for this, but to just give you some examples, let's say you are wanting to attract people who happily pay your prices, they always pay on time, and if they do default on a payment, they are the one to reach out to you to let you know that they know that the payment has failed and that they now have funds available and you can go ahead and charge their card. If that is what you are expecting in your clients, is that the standard that you hold for yourself? And not even just in, not even just talking about mentorship or courses or buying online products or anything like that, but just your behavior with money as a whole, right? Are you paying late on your phone bill? Are you being irresponsible with your money in other areas? Are you overcommitting? Are you just not taking responsibility in all areas with your relationship to money? And this isn't to say that you can never default on a payment and you can never make a mistake, but how do you lead yourself through those situations? How do you take responsibility before the fact to be in control of your finances, right? So if you're wanting to attract people who uphold that standard, are you upholding that standard for yourself first? Another area that you can look when it comes to the dynamic of your containers. If you're wanting to attract clients who always communicate their needs, who are honest and transparent in their containers, in their communication, who give you feedback, who leave you testimonials, who, think about all of these positive traits that you would just love to have in a client. Before you go ahead and expect that from people, are you checking in with yourself? Well, if I want that type of client, am I that type of client? So that is the second place for you to look and to audit. Are you embodying all of the traits that you are expecting your clients to embody as well? Are you upholding the standards that you would expect your clients to uphold in their relationship to you? Now, the third place that we want to look, and this is super, super, super important, is your leadership and behavior as the facilitator, as the leader. So this is really going to be looking at the boundaries and the standards and the expectations that you set and communicate in the containers and the relationships that you have with your clients right now. Something that I see a lot of people do, and I have been here myself, when we are experiencing problems with the clients that we have, maybe people are defaulting on payments, maybe they're not utilizing the service as best as they could be or how we want them to, whatever the problem may be, the easiest or most common thing that people will do is project blame onto the clients and think that they just need to attract better clients, right? They just need to call in better clients and they will blame the clients and just say, well, the clients that I have now, they're just not the right fit. They're just not the type of person that I want to work with and I need new clients. And I'm not going to sit here and say that that is definitely not true, because it could absolutely be true that you have attracted people who are genuinely not the right fit for your services and aren't the right fit for your brand and your business. However, if we are noticing patterns in the people that we are attracting where people are defaulting on payments, they're not showing up, they're not doing the work, they're not behaving as you would like them to behave in your containers, if this is becoming a pattern, 90% of the time, that is a reflection of your leadership as the facilitator, right? It's going to come down to how you have set the expectations, how you have communicated the standards of the space, and how you are leading that space. So before we go ahead and attempt to attract quote unquote better clients, higher quality clients, we need to be looking at the dynamic of the containers that we have right now and our leadership in the client relationships that we have right now to see where we need to take responsibility for where we are not leading the container as powerfully as we could be. Because what is likely to happen if we don't address our leadership within the containers and the relationships that we have right now, and we attract quote unquote better clients, we're probably going to end up in the same situation, having the same problems, because we haven't actually addressed the root cause, that is the lack of leadership. So prior to going out and trying to get quote unquote better clients, how can we tighten up the standards and the boundaries and the expectations and your communication and your leadership within the relationships that you already have? And what you're probably going to find is you will no longer think, for the most part, that you need different or better clients, because a lot of the problems that you're experiencing will actually end up resolving themselves. So within this, there's a lot of things that we can look at, and this is going to be different for every single person depending on the service that you offer and the way that you deliver that service. But the key areas to actually spend some time looking at, the first one is your onboarding process and the way that you lead sales conversations. So when somebody reaches out to inquire for your services, do you potentially go into anxious attachment? Do you offer discounts where you shouldn't be offering discounts because you're afraid that they're not going to pay your prices? Again, going back to the very first thing that we talked about around your internal belief systems and projecting your financial situation or your relationship to money onto your clients. And so now you're going into fear that they're not going to pay your prices, so you're offering them a discount, or you're going above and beyond to make sure that they really see the value of your services instead of trusting that they see the value of your services. Otherwise, they wouldn't have inquired in the first place. Are you potentially ignoring any red flags? Are you taking on clients that you know deep down are not the right fit for your services? Again, going back to the first conversation, that you don't believe that there's enough of the right clients out there for you to be fully booked with your dream clients. And so you're just accepting anyone and everyone that reaches out for your services, despite knowing deep down that they're probably not the right fit, right? So this is the very first place that you want to look. And what you will find, if you are noticing that you have clients that are coming in that are not turning out to be the right fit, or you're having some level of regret for taking this client on, majority of the time, if you reflect back on the initial conversation that you had with this person, you will see that there were probably red flags that you ignored in that conversation and decided to take the client on anyway. Or you could see from a mile away that this person was just not the right fit for this service, but you decided to take them on anyway. So this is going to allow you to build the awareness and the self-trust to know that you can turn, and you should turn, some people away for your services, because you have seen how it plays out and it is not an enjoyable experience for you, nor is it in the best interest of that client, right? Because if we are bringing in clients who we know aren't the right fit for these services, they're not going to get the best results that they possibly can from this service. And that in turn is also going to impact your confidence as a service provider, because your clients aren't getting results, you're not getting testimonials, you're not building confidence and conviction in your ability to create a transformation, because the people that are coming in are not the right fit for that transformation. The second place to look in this is your actual onboarding process. So this is going to be how you open up the space, how you set the expectations, looking at your policies, looking at your contracts, all of the things that really set the container and set the space and build the safety for the client to know how they should show up in this space in order to get the best results. So are you actually setting the space? Are you communicating the expectations? Or are you waiting for problems to arise to communicate to the client how to best utilize the space? And then the third place to look is how you are handling problems when they do arise. So, for example, let's say a client does default on a payment. How do you respond to that situation? Do you get reactive? Do you go into avoidance? Do you continue providing a service even though you haven't been paid? Are you actually upholding the terms and conditions that are stated in your contract? How are you leading yourself through these problems? And more importantly, where can you be proactive in ensuring that these problems don't arise again? And what I want to wrap this conversation up with is there is discernment in everything, and not every single situation in your business or problem in your business is a mirror for your own behavior or your own leadership or your own integrity or embodiment in your business. Sometimes you're just going to have problems arise, and it has nothing to do with who you are, how you're leading, how you're showing up online. It just is. Problems are going to still exist. However, we always want to be checking in with, how have I contributed to this? Where can I take more responsibility in this? Because that is the only way for you to reduce the likelihood of these problems happening again. So, in saying that, if you are ready to start attracting higher quality, high paying clients, the types of clients that you absolutely love to serve, that get the most insane results from your services because they are the perfect fit and they go on to sell your services for you because they're getting the best results, I highly encourage you to actually take the time to audit these 3 areas in your business and in your leadership. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, this is the work that most people will avoid looking at, and they will constantly project blame onto the clients that they have or onto the audience that they have right now, and never take responsibility for where they are lacking embodiment in the things that they are expecting from their clients. And again, as I said in the beginning, when I stopped focusing so much on what do I need to say to get people to buy, what do I need to say to attract this type of client, while obviously messaging is a huge part of this and our content is a huge part of this, embodiment is equally as important. If you are not a match for the level of client that you're wanting to attract based on your leadership in your client relationships right now and how you're leading your business, how you're showing up as a consumer and a customer, and if your belief systems are not in line with that of attracting that level of client, it's going to be really challenging for you to attract that level of client. And more importantly, it's going to be really challenging for you to lead that level of client and for that type of client to feel safe in staying with you long term. So sit with these questions, get your journal out, actually take the time to audit these 3 areas, and I promise you, this is going to make attracting higher quality clients, higher paying clients 10 times easier in your business. That is everything for this episode. Please, again, take the time to actually audit these areas, because I know for a fact that this is going to change everything for you in your ability to attract the clients that you genuinely love to work with and are happy to pay your prices and all the things. If you loved this episode, I would love to hear from you. Please get in my DMs if you have any questions, or if you want me to expand on anything, or if you have any requests for future episodes, please do let me know. I am more than happy to answer your questions and support you as much as I possibly can in this capacity. Otherwise, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next episode.